So welcome everybody to the second in our 2024 series brought to you by the Verona Environmental Commission and Sustainable Verona's Green Team, and of course with the support of the Township of Verona. I'm Jessica Pearson, the chair of Verona's Environmental Commission, and I'm joined by my friend Carrie Bass, the chair of Verona's Green Team, who spearheaded this webinar. Tonight's topic is recycling, specifically recycling in Verona, which is a subject that always seems to create a great deal of confusion and typically invites a long list of questions from residents about what am I supposed to do with this and where does this go and can I recycle this? How come not that? So essentially, we want to give you a better idea on how to keep your recycling stream free and clear of contamination, aka garbage. We're going to touch on hazardous waste and electronic waste and how to properly dispose of that as well, and hopefully clearly lay out what you should know about recycling here in Verona and answer some of those questions that surround this mysterious practice. Tonight, oh, by the way, there is a chat availability under the More tab at the bottom of your Zoom screen. You could pop that out, and throughout the presentation, feel free to ask questions in the chat, and we think that our experts will be able to answer pretty much anything you toss their way, but they also may answer it through the presentation. So perhaps wait to put them through the window until you feel like they've missed what you would like to know more about. So our experts tonight are Len Waterman and Wayne DeFeo. You might have seen Len a couple times around Verona because Len has been working with the Township of Verona for about 43 years. He's the supervisor of our Buildings and Grounds Department. He is the chairman on Essex County Solid Waste and Advisory Council, or SWAC, and he also is Verona's recycling coordinator. And Wayne DeFeo is an environmental consultant specializing in sustainable solutions for commercial, institutional, and residential buildings. In his professional capacity, he develops energy reduction strategies, lead building practices, and recycling and solid waste handling systems. He has a myriad of certifications, too many to go to list tonight, but I'll give you a few. He's a lead accredited professional, he's a certified energy auditor, and he's an NJDEP compost facility operator. Do you want to move to Verona, Wayne? He also serves as Verona's solid waste and recycling coordinator. So without further ado, we're going to hand this program directly over to our experts and get the ball rolling. Thank you guys so much for attending and helping us through this garbage.
It's my pleasure. Hey, Lenny. I'm going to let Lenny kind of start this because to give you a role, Lenny has the direct role, the direct responsibility as the municipal recycling coordinator, and he's a certified recycling professional. And he is, of course, Verona's liaison. He's also chairman of our SWAC, as was stated. And how many years have we known each other now, Lenny?
Probably about 6, 7.
He can answer questions more specific to Verona. I'm going to kind of give you a bit of a broad overview. So Lenny, do you want to start off at all and say anything about Verona's recycling program before I go through my program?
Well, I think almost everybody here realizes that we do have a recycling depot. We do have curbside pickup, and that we recycle everything that we can, and what we can't, the Essex County Utilities Authority has their hazardous and electronic pickup twice a year on Bradford Avenue. So we really try to get as much as we can. We do have we had a gentleman going around checking recycling when it's out to the curb, and unfortunately he was in an accident, so he's no longer doing it. But when he started, we had about 50 to 60 households a day with contamination, and the last time he went out, we had about 6 to 8 houses. So it's definitely working. We tag the recycling. We leave a letter in the mailbox, and then they will come and email me, and I'll call them back, and we'll try to straighten out what their issues and explain to them. So it seems to be working very good. That's about it right now.
Well, and I want to stress that, as far as Essex County is concerned, the way we operate in our county is that municipalities are the responsible party for preparing, implementing, and running their recycling programs. That's the law. That's the way the law is actually written. It is actually a municipal responsibility. As the county, our role is to help, assist, coordinate, educate, and maintain whatever kind of coordination we can get between the municipalities and to fill the gaps. It would not be cost effective for Verona to run a household hazardous waste collection program, really. So we do that on the authority level. Essex County does not have a regional recycling program, simply because it wasn't set up that way back in 1987 when all of this started. Now, in the 1980s, and literally in 1987, when the law was passed, recycling was fairly easy. If you look at that top left picture, it was really nothing more than you had cans and bottles and paper, and that was it. There were no plastic bottles. There were no multiple types of plastics to deal with. We didn't have to deal with plastic takeout containers. Takeout containers were either paper or aluminum. And things have changed considerably. The picture on the right is actually taken from a recycling facility and a load that is dumped on the floor. If you look at the two photographs, they're completely different. If you were not in the United States, if you were in many countries, the picture on the left would still be closer to what you would do. In fact, in many countries, it's not unusual for you to have to sort the stream that you put out into 22 separate containers. You would separate glass by color, which is how recycling started in this state. You'd have aluminum cans in a bin, you'd have newspaper in a bin, junk mail in a bin. It would be significantly more complicated than what we require you to do. The problem is, because it's become more complicated, that there is a lot of misinformation out there. Some programs did shut down in the late 2018, 2019 period, and towns are concerned because of cost. Recycling costs have gone up. But I would defy you to find any cost that hasn't gone up in the last 40 years. And then there's misinformation. While this statement is true, that only 5% of plastics are recycled in the United States, that's a true statement, that means all plastics. And unfortunately, when people read articles like this, they think that everything is going into the landfill. Why am I bothering to recycle? That is simply not accurate in the state of New Jersey. And that's all I'm focused on. And it's not accurate in Verona. In Verona and New Jersey, we recycle a good number of materials. And if you put the correct material at the curb, it will be recycled. I'm focusing a bit on plastic here because that is the area where most people are confused. There are so many different plastics out there. The Dawn bottle is a PET bottle. The Mr. Clean, Wawa, and the other milk bath bottle are HDPE. The Stonyfield is polypropylene. The Earthbound Farm Organic is PET, but understand that it's different than the bottle. The same plastic, but made differently. These are the three primary plastics that can, for the most part, be recycled in most locations. And let me clear something up right now. These materials on this screen right now are generally recycled in the United States and or Canada to be made into new products. And what I mean by that is the markets are local. When you read about China and you read about other countries rejecting our plastic, that is true. But generally from New Jersey, our markets are more localized. Now, if you look at these bottles, there is a time period in history, and most of you may or may not remember this, when milk came in glass. Some of you may still buy milk in deposit glass bottles, depending on the supermarket you shop at. Well, we don't do much of that anymore. Those refillable milk bottles. Lenny, are you old enough to remember a milkman?
I am.
Good, that makes me feel better. If you can remember a milkman coming to the house years ago, those bottles were put back out because they were being sanitized and refilled. We just don't have that anymore, except in very rare instances. But these plastics can be recycled. And when we talk about these containers, and that could be a water bottle on the Dawn, that could be any PET bottle, they have a strong market. If anybody, especially in the last 2 days, is wearing a fleece vest or anything that is polyester, just a quick lesson, these bottles and the Earthbound Farm container you see there are all polyester. That's what PET is. In a different form, you can make it a bottle or a piece of clothing. This is a better image showing you kind of more of what goes out at the curb. You have everything from HDPE, and I assume you can all see this arrow. This is called natural, meaning it's not dyed, and this is dyed. Then you have yogurt containers, which are almost exclusively number 5 plastic. And that's because number 5 plastic is chemically the most stable and should be the safest. You probably have some mixture of aerosols, number 5 cups here for yogurt and fruit down there, some HDPE, or same as a milk jug, that is coffee. And then, of course, you have your steel cans, your aluminum cans, and everything else that you would normally put out there. And of course, you also have paper, which we didn't get to yet, but we will. I heard the question earlier, I guess it was Lenny a little bit earlier, about pizza boxes. And we have always advised our towns up really to current time, if it's a greasy piece of paper, throw it in the garbage. I like, Lenny, in your brochure for the town, when in doubt, throw it out. And if you're not sure if the box is too greasy, you could throw it out. Markets, however, change. You remember from economics, which you may or may not have taken, you've heard of the law of supply and demand. Right now, paper's in demand, and the paper mills have said they have adjusted their system. Many will take the pizza box. Don't worry about it if you're not putting it in the recycling. If it's greasy, we'll get to where that goes. All of this other paper we recycle all over the state. This is a pretty good smattering, these pictures, of what you might put out on a curbside program. Oops, sorry. To put back in the picture, the aluminum can, the PET soda bottle, and the glass bottle. I put those in a way that they come out because there is discussion in New Jersey about what we call a bottle bill right now. And I'm showing you in this picture that this is what we have to pick up curbside. This is all a bottle bill would deal with. But we'll get into that at another time. In the past 2 years, we've seen companies come up with what we call the How to Recycle label. This is a wonderful program because plastic is super confusing. An example, I just happen to have put that one out there. Oops, that Aveeno bottle is very well labeled in that it tells you to take the pump out because that cannot be recycled, but the bottle can. The problem with most recycling programs anywhere and with all recycling labeling is, do you read the label? This is an education issue. And you have to understand that not all containers can be recycled, even if they're the right plastic. If you change your own oil, you will see on the bottom of this bottle that it says number 2. If you take rose and flower insect killer, you will see it's a number 2. These aerosol cans can't be recycled. Why? Because of what they contain. They are hazardous. They are dangerous. Thus, just because it says a number 2 plastic doesn't mean you can recycle it. What was in it counts. Lenny mentioned our Household Hazardous Waste Day coming up. We would take these bottles. Now, if you empty this bottle completely, which is what we would prefer you do, I'd prefer you not to use it at all, but if you do use it, Use it up. And then this bottle should be put in the garbage. This you could bring to us, the hazardous waste day. We would take it. I don't know how many of you are changing your own oil. Not common today. Aluminum cans, no question. Lifeblood of the recycling program. Very valuable, highest value of any material consistently throughout history. We want those. Glass, which everyone, of course, and don't get me wrong, glass, everything tastes better in glass. Why? Because glass is non-reactive. It doesn't interact with the things that it contains, where plastic can. Glass has very limited markets because we don't make glass bottles in New Jersey much anymore. We only have one plant that does that. We used to have over 20 plants that did that. Yes, glass is an easy material. It's non-toxic. If it broke and became sand, it's not a big deal. We still have you put it out for recycling. It can still be recycled. It just is often not recycled in a way that you and I think about. And the problem with glass comes down in part to the other things that we put in to the stream. I know the way we're structured, I won't get people yelling out what this is. That shredded paper that got mixed in with the glass, and it's also styrofoam peanuts. Horrible stuff, styrofoam peanuts from the perspective of a recycler. That glass, and this is an important slide for one reason only, that pile of glass with all that styrofoam in it, or polystyrene, could not be marketed. It would go to a landfill because it is contaminated. And here's an important point that you remember nothing else from this presentation. Recycling does not deal in garbage. We deal in a commodity, something that people want to buy to make into a new product. However, if you don't put the correct materials at the curb in accordance with your town's program, and you put a lot of the wrong stuff in, you make this, that is garbage. And that's what you're reading about in most cases when you hear about recycling not working. It's not that there's no market. It's not that recycling cannot work. It's that when you put the wrong things in the recycling container, you create a mess. And when you create a mess, that affects the value. And when it affects the value, things don't get recycled. Such as this. Glass is all glass, but it's not all glass. All of the glass in this picture is very different from a glass bottle. Even if I was making glass bottles into new glass bottles, if you put just one of these items into your bin, you could contaminate an entire load of glass. And it has to deal with chemistry, which we're not going to get into in depth tonight, but essentially that mug melts at a different temperature than regular glass. And if they get together, the bottle breaks. But glass can be used as a lot of different things. There's a company currently in Pennsylvania, but takes a lot of glass from New Jersey, and they make a product called aero aggregate. Aero aggregate replaces gravel, stone, on places like this where you need drainage. Glass has come a long way in new and novel reuses. Keep recycling your glass. It can also be made into fiberglass insulation, and is. It can be made into new glass bottles, and then, of course, it can be made into this product called aero aggregate. And here we come back to our problem. In your curbside program, Lenny, you'll take the paper carton for eggs so long as it's clean, correct?
Right.
You'll even take the middle one, which is a #1 plastic, but that left one is polystyrene. Now, I don't have a lot of people in the room right now, but I know this will be posted, so I challenge every single one of you who looks at this video. The next time you go to the supermarket, don't buy the blue container or the polystyrene. I realize polystyrene does its job. It can protect the eggs very well, but it is extraordinarily difficult to recycle. It cannot, under any circumstances whatsoever, go into your curbside bin. There are other ways to recycle polystyrene, but we're not going to deal with that right now. We can do it in the Q&A. That type of egg container is a real problem. We have worked through the Association of New Jersey Recyclers to try and get manufacturers or sellers of eggs to not use these containers to no avail. But you as the consumer can do that. So I'm going to challenge you right now to do something, to take an action. And that is, if you do buy eggs in those containers, that you write the manufacturer and tell them you are now stopping your purchase of eggs in those containers and will buy another brand. If enough people do that, that container will no longer be a problem. I suspect maybe one of you in the past week has gotten an Amazon package.
Yeah.
You think only one, Lenny, or maybe everybody?
I think everybody here's got more than one.
To Amazon's credit, they have moved towards these paper containers, fully recyclable. It's not a problem. The cushioning is perfectly acceptable to the paper mill. And if you notice, it tells a how to recycle story on it. This is a good move on their part. Very pleased to see this. It's very helpful. Goes in with your corrugated. I'm not, collect your corrugated or your mixed paper. What do you do? Corrugated separate or together, Lenny?
We do it separate.
So put it in with your corrugated, we'll be fine. The same material. Paper is very valuable, and paper is shipped all over the world. At one time, New Jersey had 3 major paper mills. Garden State Paper made newspaper, Marcal, which made toilet tissue and paper towel, and Homasote, which makes construction products. Only Homasote is still in existence, and they take very limited amounts of our recycled paper from this source because they can't get it clean enough. Remember what I just said earlier. If it's not clean, it's not recycling. Marcal is closed in New Jersey. It's going to be a warehouse, and Garden State Paper went bankrupt. Quality. Quality is the key, whether it's paper or anything else. This material, the prior bale you just saw, only 4% of it was not paper. That could be enough for it to get rejected in a market. A lot of paper does go to Asia. A lot of paper goes to East Asia. A lot of it goes to Europe. Paper has value because it's easier to make paper from paper. But if it's contaminated, other countries don't want it. And I don't blame them. Why should they take our garbage? I'm going to give you another action item and a challenge. If at your home or place of business, you are not buying products, doesn't have to be everything, made from recycled paper when you use a paper product, you are contributing to the problem and not the solution. Because if we don't buy the products made from recycled material, we don't create the market. And if we don't create the market, we have no place to sell the material. That's a second challenge for you. If you have printers and computers at home, you should only be buying recycled paper. It doesn't have to be 100% post-consumer. That's what we call it. It could be 30, but it should be something. My preference for you would be to tell you use 100%, but that can be expensive if you use a lot of paper. Municipalities use 30. And part of the problem with recycling is getting the wrong information. If you've seen these bags in your stores locally, know that we sent messages and letters to Hefty, and their answer was, it's not illegal, we're going to keep selling them. Well, guess what? In another state, Connecticut and Minnesota, where they have cases pending, but in a class action suit, Reynolds, who makes this bag, had to pay $4 million because their statement was about recycling. It was considered false advertising. In New Jersey right now, we're looking at truth in labeling law for recycled products, and we're looking at what's called extended producer responsibility and post-consumer content laws. This kind of product is, quite honestly, irresponsible to make. There are communities that do use bags. Verona, Lenny, is not one of them, correct?
Correct.
You don't see much of this as much anymore. I will say it's been rather remarkable. The bag ban in New Jersey has done a significantly good job. You know, you used to be able to drive around almost anywhere and see bags in trees. You really don't see that much anymore, which is kind of nice, actually. Kind of nice to see. We just don't see a lot of it, but we'll get to bags a little further. Again, I would ask hypothetically, Lenny, would you pick this up?
No, I would not. That's what the guy that was going around was checking. You can't have the recycling in a plastic bag. It contaminates the load.
It's an atrocious thing to work with in a recycling plant. It contaminates it. It clogs up the system. And when it clogs up the system heavily, people have to literally climb into the machines after they're shut down, of course, and hand pick these things out. It's not a pleasant job. You know, labeling is tough and it's confusing. If you recycle correctly, again, I'm going to say this a few times, we will have markets and get it recycled. The Amazon mailer here, this is the other mailer I'm sure you've seen in the last month. As long as the labels are off, they can be recycled with plastic bags in a plastic bag bin. Now, 2 supermarkets near here that we have, where I live, both take plastic bags. So I could bring those if I get them, as long as I take the label off that's up here. And I'm going to get the next question is, boy, those labels are tough to get off. And they are. If in doubt, take a scissor, cut out the label, throw it in the garbage, and the rest can be recycled. Again, because it's quality that matters. The air pillows you get, all the same plastic can be recycled. No polystyrene, no what they call styrofoam in this picture at all. And this Renew liner is an absolute disaster. How many, I don't know how you can even tell me this. Have you ever seen one of these, Lenny?
The box with the styrofoam in it?
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
If that's either styrofoam or Renew liner, that box is now contaminated and not able to be marketed.
You can't throw the styrofoam out and recycle a box?
Yes, you can take the styrofoam out of the box, throw it away, and recycle the box, but don't put all the styrofoam
Don't put it together, correct.
Now, this is a problem because this goes to truth in labeling. That says #1 plastic. In fact, it is a #1 PET material made into a fiber to keep the box insulated. But it tells you right on there to put it in the curb program. And I'm telling you, everybody in this room and everybody seeing this has probably seen this packaging. It was very popular when COVID was at its peak. People were getting cold things sent to the house. We weren't shopping. This cannot be recycled. And this is one of those products that the truth in labeling law is going after. We are looking to get that done. We have written to this company. We've had many people write to the company and challenge them. And their answer has been, it's not illegal. We're going to keep making it. I don't care if they keep making it. It's what they say to do with it that contaminates our recycling program. Again, this is an old phrase, but if you've ever done computer programming, it was called GIGO. Garbage in, garbage out. You put bad data in a computer, you get bad data out. You just get it faster. You put bad material in your recycling, you create garbage. Our bag ban's been a great success. Very pleased with that. You know, even stores will tell you that if you go in and get a cup of something cold, they're supposed to offer you a cup of plastic straw. Turn it down. Get reusable straws. Recycling is all over the place. This is from recycling facilities that we've audited. Take a look, and you can see that there are problems here. And the problem isn't so much people's intent or intention, it's their understanding. This Razor scooter is metal. People think they can put it at the curb. Not in your area, not in our area. Some parts of the country, yes. New York City would be one this would be acceptable, but not here. What this does is slows down the recycling program, increases the cost of labor because this has to be picked out, and raises the cost of your recycling program. Think about it. Is there anything that you know of anywhere that if you put the wrong thing in the wrong place, or you ask someone to do something the wrong way, or ask them to do more, that it doesn't cost you more money? Why would you think recycling would be any different? These, again, different loads. We have bags, we have hangers. This is a contaminant to your system in Verona or anywhere for the most part in this area. Same here. There's an old joke among us who do this kind of work, and I've shared this with Lenny before. When I've done these kinds of audits, I know I've been doing them too long, and I can tell you why I know I've been doing them too long. Because when I audit loads like this for people, and I look at all the contamination, I can say, oh, that's an adult diaper. Oh, no, those are kids' diapers. That means I've been doing it too long. Wouldn't you agree, Lenny?
Yes, I think so.
And we get diapers. And we get the weirdest things we've gotten so far in a recycling facility that I know of. We've had a loaded pistol, boat anchors, a sword. For some reason, bowling balls are extraordinarily popular to put out, and I still have never figured that one out. Garden hoses. What else? Sharps. Knives. It's strange. Motors. Those are fun. Those things that are put in incorrectly can really damage a recycling system. And this one drives us nuts. Now, this is someone who's probably using home insulin. This does not go in the recycling bin. This is garbage. This is not only dangerous because even though people who pick on the line wear puncture-resistant gloves and cut-resistant gloves, needles by default are designed to go through very fine things. And if a worker gets stuck with this at any plant, public or private, they shut the system down. The worker has to be taken to the hospital for testing. Would you want to pick that off the line? That's what this really comes down to. Batteries. Batteries are a disaster for us. If you have any device with a rechargeable battery in it, or you have any batteries, do not put them in the recycling bin. I cannot tell you the number of times that we have received materials at different plants around the state, and this is the result. This is a plant that burned down because a battery was punctured. If you take one of these rechargeables, like you could see me, you take one of these rechargeable batteries and you puncture it, it will ignite within seconds.
Wayne, what was there, 5 establishments that burnt down with batteries?
Let's see, we've had 1, 2, 3, and 2 fires. 3 burned down, 2 caught fire.
Right. So got to keep the batteries out.
That is not, this is one of those circumstances where the statement, when in doubt, throw it out, does not apply. When in doubt about a battery, bring it to us at Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day, and we will ensure it's recycled. Don't put it in the recycling, and please don't even put it in the garbage, because if this will get punctured in a garbage truck, and we've seen garbage trucks burn up. This is a recycling plant burning right here. I can't emphasize enough how bad that is. This is a recycling plant that caught fire in 2018. The plants have now put in these systems that you see here on the right. It's called a fire rover. It's a system that uses technology with infrared and thermal cameras. And if it sees something get hot in the pile, it floods it with thousands of gallons of water. It'll buy the fire department enough time to put the fire out. But think about a battery igniting in that pile. It's plastic and paper and everything else. You might as well just start a bonfire. This is extraordinarily dangerous. You're in doubt, bring it to us. This year, we made a couple of changes in our 2 programs. So here are the dates for you right now for hazardous waste. What's hazardous waste? Well, batteries would be one, the rechargeables. Pesticides, which I showed you, motor oils, antifreeze, any kind of fertilizers, the cleaners in your home. Hopefully you're not using toxic cleaners, but if you are, pool chemicals, if you are rather, bring them to us. Expired chemicals, different kinds. Go ahead, Lynn.
Fluorescent light bulbs.
Fluorescent light bulbs, although we don't see so many of the curly Q ones anymore. You can
No.
also bring those to your Home Depot, the curly Qs, the tubes, we still get. We get them, we do accept from municipalities, as Lenny knows, when they have a lot of them. Have you converted your town hall over yet, Lenny?
We're pretty much almost all LED.
Okay. And those are fine. We don't take those, but anything you're not sure of. Now, I have to tell you, it's not always safe for us either. About 4 years ago, maybe 5 now. No, I guess 5. We had a chlorine explosion at our household hazardous waste collection day. We had to shut the whole process down. Luckily, the chemist on site was able to predict that it was going to happen. And we do have hazmat teams on site, and we were able to contain any risk. But even for us, this can be somewhat dangerous. One of the things we tell you then at our household hazardous waste collection day is we want a labeled container. But I will tell you, if you have something unusual, and I cannot tell you the number of times we have had that happen, call the Essex County Utilities Authority office. They will refer you to me, and we will make arrangements for you to bring the material to us. Some examples of that are out there that we have experienced. We had a gentleman whose dad had passed away. His father was a chemist at Bell Labs. And he said, you know, when I was cleaning out the garage, I have all these chemical jars and all of this material, and it's labeled the way a chemist 60 to 70 years ago would label it by hand, and it's labeled with chemical symbols. And I don't know what to do with it. And he gave me the inventory, and I said, bring it to us and bring it carefully, because he had materials in there that if they hit oxygen, they would ignite or explode. He came in, we put him aside, we went through the list, and although I don't like to say we would do it, my choice was send him home with what I knew was dangerous, or we take it. But it's very expensive. His 2 boxes cost over $2,000 to properly dispose of. But if you're in doubt, you bring it to us. This year, if you have oxygen tanks, again, we're not publicly advertising it yet, but I'm telling you because I'm here with you tonight. We get calls on oxygen tanks all the time. We get calls on helium tanks all the time. Bring them to us at the Household Hazardous Waste Day on May 4th, and we will take them from you. Up until this year, we could not tell you we would take them. This year we can. We've changed our agreement with the vendor.
Wayne, you're taking fire extinguishers also, correct?
We take fire extinguishers, we will take road flares, we will take oxygen tanks, we will take from homeowners why anyone would have one, but I've had a few homeowners that have oxyacetylene tanks. I guess they were welding hobby on the side, Lenny. Helium tanks we get a lot of when kids have party balloons. I encourage you not to use helium and helium balloons myself. Balloon releases are extraordinarily detrimental to the environment. They can kill animals in the ocean. And helium, believe it or not, is in short supply. We can't make more helium. And we need it. But that's up to you. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. But oxygen tanks, I know we get a lot of because someone passes away. They've been on oxygen. What do I do with the tank? The company doesn't want it back. What else? Any other question on that one, Lenny, you were going to ask me?
Yeah,
Or
that's it. I'm good.
Okay. We also take, of course, your computer and your electronics. Do you take those at your convenience center, Lenny?
No, we send them to you.
Okay.
We used to have our own computer electronic waste pickup, but we stopped it.
No worries. But we take them. We are taking all of that. I'll deny oh no, I'm being recorded. Darn it. I can't even deny this. This year, when homeowners call, if they have a window air conditioner or a dehumidifier, we will tell them to bring it to us. Normally, we don't accept them, but in limited quantities, we will, because there's a limit to what you can do with them. Don't tell all your friends, okay? Just don't tell them. I don't want to get too many. My vendor will get very mad at me. You don't want that. But all other electronics, if it's got a cord on it, we'll probably take it. I don't think I've turned to microwaves. That's another big one that we get calls on. We will take those as well. They're not on the list. You won't see them on our website, but I am telling you that we will take them. Except from you, Lindy. I'll take them from everybody else. And then I want to point out, if you go to the Essex County Utilities Authority website, you will see things rotating on that site. You will also see on the Essex County Utilities Authority website a series of links. What to do with batteries, what to do with hard to recycle items, who to contact. In this case, we put on, because the Environmental Center in Roseland, not very far from you really, is selling compost bins and rain barrels. You know, at these numbers, you'd be hard pressed to find them generally. I'm not saying you can't find something cheaper somewhere, but I am telling you this would be hard pressed for you to find. You can go right to our website and get a link to this, or you can go to the Essex County Environmental Education Center and get a link and place your order. The orders have to be picked up on April 13th. There's not too much time left, but there's enough for you if you want one. Why am I showing this to you? Because we know that food is a big issue. No, you don't collect it curbside. No, we don't deal with it in the county. But food waste is a huge issue in the state of New Jersey. And the more people that can handle it locally in your backyard, preferably if it's done correctly, the better off we are. It's a valuable commodity when it's made into compost. It's a sin to waste it in many respects. It's useful for your garden. It's useful for your plants on every level. You do have to do this correctly. I did see, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, members of the Environmental Commission or the Green Team, that Verona did do a training program for this recently, or maybe doing one in the future. I'm not sure what the timing was on that. That you'll find on our link. So if you have general questions, go to the Essex County Utilities Authority website and click on, you'll see the links to recycling, solid waste, how to dispose of things, links on how to deal with hard to recycle items. Start with your town website, of course. Your town website's very well done. I've looked at it a few times. We've been doing analyses of municipal websites so that we could help the towns improve them. Yours uses images, which we like very much. Pictures are always better. We find people don't like to read long things, and it works pretty well. And with that, I will.
Let me say something before you finish, Wayne. You hear? Can you hear me, everybody?
I can hear you.
All right. You guys saw a lot of pictures of the recycling depot with all the piles and stuff. I think you guys should, as a group, should take a tour of the Mazda Recycling Center in Tinton Falls. They run free tours. It's, I don't know, an hour ride down there, and it's amazing. I've gone through it twice already. It's really, you learn a lot and see how difficult everything is that they do down there. I'll get Jessica the number if she wants.
Yeah, well, if you like, I can take you through that facility. I believe I can link into that if we have the time. That's up to you. I would also tell you, just because, Lenny, you raised that, and it's a good point, but I have some good news. Actually, I don't think I gave you any bad news tonight, but the really good news is Atlantic Coast Recycling is reopening. They were one of the facilities, Lenny, that burned down, as you know. Mm-hmm. Your material would be going there, except that it burned down. So now it goes to Newark. It's a very strange community, the recycling community. The good news is they all bail each other out when there's a problem. So I have to tell you that the other companies that are in the area really helped Atlantic Coast when the chips were down, which is nice. They're competitors, don't get me wrong. But Atlantic Coast Recycling is opening a brand new state-of-the-art $20 million recycling facility. And it'll be open next month, I think, full-time. And I will be going there for the opening to look at it. It's remarkable. It really is state-of-the-art. Sims, now called Balcones in Jersey City, is up and running. We have a new facility opening up in the Hackensack Meadowlands, Lenny, by IWS. Mm-hmm. They're going to be opening as well, which I think is great. That's also going to happen. The good news is we have new plants being built in our area. That should help you with your cost, which is a good thing.
It's always
Because
a
your
good thing.
costs have gone up. No argument.
If you wouldn't mind, we've got a few questions.
You want to see the video? It's only a few minutes long.
Sure, put the video on and then we'll address the questions.
If you want to see it, I can play it. Jessica, you're the boss.
Go right ahead.
Okay, hang on. I'll share my screen again. This is sort of, and you've seen this tour, Lenny, I know.
Yes.
It's a bit of an advertisement.
For one of our recycling tours, which is part of our Greener Tomorrow program. So today we have a group of fifth graders coming from Long Branch Public School.
I've known Bryn since he was about 10 years old from community theater here in New Jersey. And when Bryn reached out to me about this opportunity to bring our kids to learn more about how they can make an impact, I knew that I really wanted to involve Miss Hamlet. I'm very much into the environment. I care about it greatly. I run the environmental club at our school, and I worked with our school on many projects to help us become green ribbon schools within the state of New Jersey and sustainable New Jersey schools as well. Recycling is near and dear to my heart.
How you guys doing today? My name is Aisha, and welcome to the Greener Tomorrow program.
The Greener Tomorrow program was piloted in 2020. We started taking groups of students around our facility. We started working with local municipalities, teachers, corporations, nonprofit organizations. And we wanted to give them an educational tour about all of the different operations, really go in depth about how recycling works, different pieces of equipment that are used in the process, and where things go when it leaves their house, all the way up to when it leaves our facility and gets turned into new material.
This is very informative. We should really be recycling because all this stuff can be reused, so we shouldn't throw it away.
If we start recycling, then there'll be less chemicals, less pollution, and maybe less sick people.
I think that there should be more programs about this because people think like, oh, it's just fine. The garbage man will just pick it up for us. But when they see this, they'll actually understand what it feels like to recycle and how this helps our planet.
Well, that's not the exact video I was looking for, but it still sends a message, I think, and shows you some of what the plant looks like.
But if you do a tour, you'll get the real feel of it.
Yeah, there is a tour. The real tour. And Lenny, when you were in, when we did the class together, you went to an actual facility with me, as I recall.
Yeah, we went to Burlington County, I think.
Right, which is where I still take people. There are a number of facilities. I think you will start to see more tours being available. If the Environmental Commission wants a tour, you're going to have to wait for Atlantic Coast to open, or you're going to have to make a road trip, which is the only other way to do it. But making a road trip down the shore probably wouldn't upset everybody, just some people.
So Wayne, is Mazza, that's where Verona's recycling goes?
No.
No. Your material goes to Atlantic Coast Recycling in Clifton, but it does today goes to Newark in Waste Management's facility because Atlantic Coast was burned down by batteries. I hate to say it. Therefore, they have a contract with Waste Management to service their contracts. Your material goes to Newark right now for sorting and then marketing. Waste Management is the largest of the companies in the world that does this.
Okay.
I just said Mazza because they do tours and it's very, very informative when I was there twice.
So Jess, do you want to go through the chat questions now?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. I was going to hit on the first question that came up. Lenny, I don't know if this is going to be addressed. Is there ever going to be a revamp of the tag program? I don't know if you addressed whether we were ever going to do it again. I know that it seemed a little dangerous because the gentleman that was doing it actually got injured doing it.
Right. We are looking for someone else to take over until he comes back, if he comes back. but we definitely want to keep it going.
Okay, and so this is when you're driving down the street and you see a bunch of boxes that aren't broken down, filled with other items that aren't unlike the boxes. It's kind of breaking the rules, you know?
Right.
We want paper, we want the boxes broken down on the side of the curb. And why do we want the boxes broken down, Lenny?
You just fit more in the you fit more in the containers.
So it saves money.
That's really the only reason, yeah. We only do we were only doing the commingled because of that where most of our problems were. We didn't get to the cardboard yet.
Gotcha. Somebody asked, where can the average person recycle, or is there anywhere that we can recycle number 4, number 6, number 7 plastics? And talk to us, if you could, on bottle caps as well. So those 2 questions rolled into one.
Let's start with the first. Number 4 is low density polyethylene. Low density polyethylene are plastic bags for the most part. Plastic clean, that's number 4. Gotcha. That's typically your dry cleaner bags, your Amazon bags. If you have plastic bags from a store, obviously takeout restaurants are still allowed to use them. If you happen to get them from some other source, that's fine. There are even some products coming in number 4. Some nut companies have converted their pouches to number 4 plastic. If it says number 4 on it and it's clean and dry, Ziploc bags are an example. If you use Ziploc bags in your home, if you rinse them and dry them, clean them and dry them, they're number 4. They can go in with the plastic bags at your supermarket or anywhere else that takes film plastic, or if someone is doing a Trex program. You're not doing one of those now, I do not believe, in Verona.
No.
As far as 3, really, 6 and 7, there are very limited markets for that. You could theoretically, Verona could say, I'm going to collect them, but most people don't want them. They're very low value. They dilute the value of your stream. Your 1, your 2, and your 5 are valuable, meaning they have a positive market value. Remember, recycling is all about marketing. If you put in a lot of the other materials, the 3, 6, and 7, you will reduce the value and raise the cost of your program. So the solution is, and then you're not going to like to hear this, don't buy things in 3, 6, and 7. 3 really you won't find, but don't buy things in 6 and 7. Don't get, if 6 would be a form of polystyrene. And if you get a clamshell, like that earthbound fruit bar or fruit clamshell, that clamshell is either going to be a number 1 or a number 6, the clear, hard clamshell. If you have a store selling number 6 clear clamshells, tell them to stop, because we can't do anything with it. Number 7 means other. That means there are several plastics put together. And I know why people do that. I know why manufacturers do that. But again, the choice is, can you buy a product that's not in that container that you are satisfied with? If you can't, write to the manufacturer. You'll get all kinds of answers. Some of them will say, oh, it's recyclable. Well, in some parts of the country, yes. But it doesn't help the system. So the short answer is, don't buy it. That's simple. Buy things that can be easily recycled. 1, 2, 5.
And if we do have it, Wayne, we have to throw it out, correct?
If you do have it, and trust me, you can't avoid it in some cases. I understand that, all of it. And by the way, not just you, me as well, everybody who buys. So sometimes you just have no choice. You know, something as good as a product as I like Bob's Red Mill oatmeal, right? The really good oats, the big oats. It's in a number 7 pouch. You can't do anything with it. It's garbage. Has to go in the garbage, and I'll explain shortly where that goes.
The bottle cap question. This is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bottle caps are changing. What do you do with them, Lenny, right now?
Right, they were thrown out separately. I mean, recycled separately. But now I'm told that they want the bottle caps on the bottle.
Correct. Your soda bottles in particular, water bottles, They are saying the caps are okay on the bottle. There is a market for them. It's not a problem. Many of the companies, you've probably seen the commercials on television, because of all the push on plastics, are making the caps now where they match the bottle. So they're setting it up so that you can recycle the whole thing. For right now, I would say you can leave your caps on, as Lenny said, you'd be fine.
So that just leads to, how clean does it have to be? Do you want the recycling pristine clean? Can one rinse cover it? You know, what about a peanut butter jar? How clean you want
If
that?
you get it reasonably clean, it doesn't
Okay.
have to be sanitized.
Okay.
There's a range, right? And I've seen this on lines over the years, where we've had maggots crawling out of the jar. That doesn't qualify as cleaning. Would you
Okay.
agree? To rinse it clean, a peanut butter jar, try to get the most of it out. It doesn't have to then be so it's not cloudy. You just want to get the chunks and most of the peanut butter out. And everything else, a quick rinse, just to get the smell out of it, would be fine.
So the next question, is about household leaves in the fall, and Verona used to have a leaf dump. By the way, the rules have changed for stormwater management, and compost facilities are also very highly regulated in the state of New Jersey, with a myriad of rules and regulations and costs depending on how many cubic tons of any sort of non-edible yard waste would be recycled on a site. So we can't really have a leaf dump anymore because of all of the regulations that we were asked, that people are missing the leaf dump. We all miss it. It was very nice to have a place to be able to bring real, just clean yard waste. But we're not going to be, because of basically, and Wayne, please backfill anything I'm saying, but the regulations and the stormwater rules, along with new regulations concerning, and I think that they're almost a little too strict, being that Wayne just made a very good point, saying how important it is to compost. They're very, very strict in the state of New Jersey. And if you go, I think it's, what's the cubic tonnage that you're allowed? It's basically like a couple of truckfuls, and then you're into a whole nother world of composting, and very expensive world it would be.
Well, and I would say to you, Lenny, what are you doing in town? Are you planning a new leaf transfer operation or not?
We have leaf pickup. You have to buy the bags. They put them in the bags. We pick them up curbside, and they take them to the composting. And I believe it's in Orange.
West Orange. You're
West
probably
Orange?
taking West Orange or South Orange. Probably West Orange. Site.
Yeah.
So the short answer is you don't like the bags, is what I'm gathering from the question. I can say this in a nice way, or I can say it the way I would normally say. That's too bad. The simple fact is that loose leaves are generally no longer going to be accepted anywhere in the state. Jessica hit it pretty much on the head with the stormwater regulations, but also when the leaves are loose on the street, they pick up chemicals called benzopyrenes. And many leaf composting facilities will no longer accept loose leaves because they are contaminated with road chemicals that come from your car and from the air. And when they're made into compost, they can't be sold. The compost nothing can be done with it. They have to dilute it. They have to mix it with soil. New Jersey has really crazy regs on this, but the reality of it is that without bagged leaves are difficult to compost. Now, of course, as Jessica also mentioned, if you simply compost them on your property, you're fine. If you have a mulching mower, just mulch them into your lawn. They're not going to hurt your grass. It's the simplest solution. We seem to, in this country, have adopted the English manor home logic that the lawn must be this pristine thing. And as I teach, in fact, I'll be teaching a class on this tomorrow, the lawn is from England. And what it is a statement of how wealthy we are, because we don't have to turn the land to produce food. And people, if you want your leaves, picked up, you're going to have to put them in bags. There's just no way around it. And the easiest thing is use it on your property. Why are you wasting this resource? Leaves are extraordinarily expensive to collect and process. You could use them, if you just use a mulching mower on your lawn, they'll disappear. By spring, they'll be gone. But that's up to you, but bags are really just not going to be an option. Lenny just doesn't have a choice. He just doesn't have a choice.
Wayne, can you share the link for the Essex County composter sale in the chat window? I highly recommend people take your leaves, even if you just make a small area in the back of your yard to pile your leaves, they will decompose rather quickly. And then you can just take that and mulch. You can mulch your garden in the winter with them, and then just use them in the composter the next, that in the spring when you do a cleanup after the thaw. Just an idea. But if you could share that in the window, Wayne, that would be fantastic.
Yep, I'm going to do that right now.
So we did hold a composting webinar for everyone that's on.
Right, I was right about that. Okay.
It was in January, and it was recorded. But for people who don't know, about 50% of our trash is from food waste, and Verona pays by the ton. So if we can do something about removing food waste from our trash stream, saves money. So composting you can use your leaves to add to your compost, because compost has to be a percentage of green and brown. So that's something I just recently learned. So I just wanted to share that.
Do you have the link of those people with the bucket that drop it off?
I used to go at Java Compost, Lenny.
Yeah, do you have that link?
Yeah, I can get you that link as well. There are home collection services for composting that will come to your home. There is a fee for it, obviously, and they will pick up your food waste once or twice a week. And I have to say, it's a pretty good system.
Yeah,
it works really well.
Doing a pilot. The last person who was kind of like the Steve Neal, who was like the deputy town manager when he was here, he was considering a pilot with Java Compost. I do have a couple questions for you, Wayne, that were sent in to me. Is black plastic 1, 2, or 5 still frowned upon? Black plastic.
Yeah, no, I understand the logic. The simple fact is that those plastics, I'm going to put this up here. It's frowned upon, but it will be accepted because it's too hard to train people to not put it in there. The problem with black polypropylene in particular, or even HDPE, is that most of that material is sorted using light. And as you know, black absorbs all light. So it's very hard to sort. I'm not going to tell you not to put it in. I will tell you to urge the places where you buy it from, whether it's a takeout or otherwise, to change to a different material or a different color. They can use natural. There is a natural polypropylene color. It's kind of skin tone. That would be better.
Okay. And this next question is for Lenny. Person wants to ask what the tippage/tonnage costs are for bulk and cardboard versus trash.
I do not know that answer off the top of my head.
I kind of have an idea. But I don't know. I mean, I just know from our ordinance, I would assume bulk and trash are combined because would I be right? None of that is recycled. It's just the bulk garbage, the tables and chairs and couches and all of the.
That goes somewhere else though, Jessica.
Say that again.
The bulk goes to a different location.
It does.
Yes, it goes to advanced when the other stuff goes to the incinerator.
Okay.
I can give you your rates in half a second here. If that's
see, Wayne knows it.
Well, since we set the rate, I should know it, right?
I know what our ordinance, what we're paying per year for the service of removing for pickup.
Well, there are two charges. Don't forget, when you pay for your bill, you're paying for the collection, but you're also included in that. There is a separate disposal fee typically that your town pays. Lenny, how do you work it out in your town in particular?
I'm not involved in that part of it at all.
Okay. There we go. 2024 tip fees. I will tell you, you've been actually fairly lucky to be in Essex County. Our solid waste tipping fee has actually gone down each year for the past 3 years because the county, to its credit, and there aren't many counties that can say this, has paid the debt off on the facilities. The answer to your question, municipal waste, what you pick out at the curb normally is $74 per ton. Your bulky waste is $80.63 per ton. That's this year's number.
And then how about for recycling pickup, like cardboard?
That's contract is separate through the town. I wouldn't know your town's numbers, what your contract says. I can tell you though that you're doing single stream, right, Len?
Mm-hmm.
So single stream, the general market rule is you are paying more per ton net because the cost of separating it has gone up. But what really drives your cost, and this is from real world examples, one of the cities I've worked with, when they go to the recycling plant, it's assumed they have a 40% contamination rate. They get charged a huge fee for that. Other towns are as low as 9%. Their cost is lower. This goes back to my slideshow that says if you put the right thing out, it costs you less. If you put the wrong things out and you contaminate the recycling with things that don't belong there, you will pay more. So your number could vary. And it's really up to you.
How much contamination sends a really good amount of, clean recycling to Newark's incinerator? I mean, because that's really what ends up happening if it's contaminated. How much bad stuff in a pile of good stuff ruins it for everyone? It
really depends on the market and market conditions. Markets change. But if you're above 15%, you could be ruining it for everybody. And now, when it goes to the resource recovery plant, I don't like the word incinerator, but when it goes to the resource recovery plant, it is consumed for fuel and it is making electricity. It's not completely wasted, but it's not the highest and best use. The highest and best use is to put the correct material, get all those number 1 bottles, get all those number 2 bottles, all those number 1 containers, all those number 5, all the aluminum, all the steel, etc., all the corrugated and paper, and get it recycled. That's the best thing you can do. And get the leaves out and get the grass out. The incinerator doesn't even want leaves and grass. Leaves are illegal to put in the garbage in the fall. Grass they'll take, but they don't want it. It creates pollution. You should be mulching your lawn, mulching the leaves. I do see a note up here that says that some towns do indeed pick it up curbside loose. You are correct. Not everybody has gone to bags yet, but they will.
I believe that's changing quickly because Cedar Grove now, you have to bag your leaves where they used to put them on the curb.
Yeah, it's changing very fast.
And the recycling contamination, we really haven't been penalized since we did the gentleman going around checking for the bags in recycling. But our biggest contamination is the leaf bags. A lot of people plant their mums and their flowers and they put the plastic containers in the leaf bag. So when they open up, a couple of them may see that. That's when we get penalized.
And they will penalize you heavily for that because that really messes up. Think about it. If you're at a compost facility and someone puts one of those chrysanthemum containers in and they miss it, it's going to get crushed by their machinery and then it contaminates all that compost. Because would you buy compost with plastic in it? Nobody would. And they really it raises cost. Keep it clean. I mean, that's the simplest thing you can do. Buy what can be recycled and keep it clean at the curb in the correct container.
Okay, we have a couple more questions. Are you on them, Jess? You want me to ask?
Oh, go ahead.
Should residents remove all tape from corrugated cardboard boxes?
That's a nice thing to do, but it's not necessary.
And this is a good question that I was going to bring up. Would property taxes go down if people recycled better or more efficiently? If not, what expense would go down?
The expense of, well, first of all, I've never seen property taxes go down anywhere for any reason whatsoever. And I will preface my answer by saying I had a professor many years ago at Montclair who I thought said the best thing about New Jersey and most people in general. We are a buy me, give me, take me, send me society. Everybody wants everything. They just don't want to pay for it. And in the case of recycling, if the recycling is clean, your cost increases will be contained and your cost for recycling might go down. I can't tell you that that would lower your property taxes because most property taxes in the state of New Jersey are based on school taxes. I would suspect 50 to 60, maybe 70% of your tax, as much as that may be just going to schools. Your municipal tax rate's really relatively low, I would get, not rate, but the total number of your total tax. It certainly is in my town, relatively speaking. The short answer is probably not.
Yeah, if we all composted and recycled, then we might see it go flat.
You might see your solid waste costs go down, which would
Solid
help.
waste go down, which would help, right?
Right. It would certainly
Um,
help. The cleaner it is, the better it is.
Milk cartons. Are they recyclable in Verona, Lenny? Milk cartons?
Yes, they are.
So you put them in just with the commingled?
Commingled, yeah.
Okay. Let me see what else I have.
Like orange juice cartons, because aren't they all the same with the, I thought they had that waxy.
They just, Wayne, I'll check with you, but I think they just changed that, didn't they? Did they take the waxy cartons now?
What you're talking about is called aseptic packaging. And if you have a market for aseptic packaging, then your juice boxes, soup boxes, milk cartons would all be the same type of product. So if they'll take one, I can't tell you that Verona's doing that, but if you're telling me, Lenny, you are, then you are.
Well, they are allowed to. Whether they do it or not is another story.
Well, that's a whole separate, that's a horse of a different color.
Right.
Okay. So it sounds like we need to update our publicity because I think we have bottle caps off and I think we should add milk cartons.
You probably can add pizza boxes back in again because I'm not hearing anything that says that's going to change soon, but that's up to you. The cautious person, the tortoise and the hare, the cautious person will say, hold off a little bit.
So,
Yeah, the OJ boxes would probably qualify
Okay.
along.
I mean, so Lenny, this is 100%, because we just got like a shocked question. Paper, milk and OJ cartons are recyclable in Verona? Question
That's
mark?
what I was told by the guy at Atlantic Coast. So they are.
Okay.
And keep up with that, Lenny, because they're going to be changing their market structure because of the new plant.
Right. I'll give them a call. I'll try them tomorrow.
And that's really cool because the fact is this new plant has some of the, Lenny mentioned Mazza, and that's a wonderful tour. That's about 5, 6, 7, 8 years old now. The newest plant that's going in near you is state-of-the-art equipment. It is, I've not seen it yet, but I know the manufacturer, and I'm talking an amazing array of what we call optical sorters, which are essentially using light to classify material. So if it hits number one bottle, the light hits it, and a burst of air picks up that bottle and moves it. Because the computer says, oh, that's a number one bottle. That goes over here. It's amazing the technology that has changed over time.
And I'm going to just jump in one more for me, and then Carrie, I'm handing it back over to you. AA batteries.
Yeah, household batteries. Household batteries. I was going to say the same
Household
thing.
batteries. What do we
They
do?
get thrown out, right?
For right now, today, household batteries, non-rechargeable, non-lithium. There are non-rechargeable batteries that are lithium. Okay, those do not go in the garbage. Those come to household hazardous waste. Alkaline batteries, what we would call your typical household battery or alkaline battery, those can go into the garbage today. However, there is a piece of legislation that literally was just introduced this week, I believe, into the legislature, which would mandate that they be recycled as well by the manufacturers. It's not the law, it's a bill. For right now, alkaline batteries can go in the garbage. Anything that is lithium or rechargeable, watch batteries, clock batteries, anything like that, those would come to us, or you can put them, many stores like Home Depot and Lowe's will take them for you. But if you're in doubt, bring them to us at Household Hazardous Waste Day.
And styrofoam goes in the garbage, correct? Any
Anything
styrofoam?
styrofoam, polystyrene currently goes in the garbage. There is no way for us to process it. There have been many requests for the county to put in foam densifiers. There are such machines. They're really remarkable. They're really creative. The Essex County Utilities Authority and the county, we have no land. We have no place to put it. We have no staff to take care of it. Our office is comprised of, let's see, I have two that I call the walking wounded because we have two people who are quite sick. And then we have myself on contract. I'm never in the office, and two other people. That's it. We're a very small staff. So no, we do not take them. Most towns do not take them.
Button batteries.
Button batteries would come to Household Hazardous Waste. Button batteries are toxic.
Okay, so can we get back to Lenny and Sarah asked her paper, milk, and OJ and juice boxes are now recycled in Verona, and should be put in with chipboard and mixed paper, or do they get put in with commingled?
I thought they went with the commingled.
The cartons, milk
I'm
cartons.
gonna call Atlantic Coast Fibers tomorrow, and I'm gonna clarify all of these, and I'll update the
Okay.
website when I get the answers.
Can you send us an email?
Sure, I'll send it to you, Jess.
Great.
I think I heard this, Wayne, at the recycling presentation. I know that cereal boxes, cracker boxes, snack boxes can all go in with the cardboard and paper, but what about frozen food packaging?
No, frozen food packages are heavily coated in plastic. And for now, frozen freezer packages, let's just call them freezer packages, you would put those into the garbage stream.
Okay.
Now, I say that, and there are one or two brands out there that do not coat their containers, but as a rule, I'm telling you, put them all in. Unless it specifically has a thing on the box. There are two manufacturers I can think of where the box theoretically is not coated, but everybody else put it in the garbage.
Lenny, confirm to me that or Wayne or Lenny, confirm that pizza boxes, no matter how greasy, are now suddenly acceptable. Is this true or false? I just want to know.
I will check. The last time I talked to them down there, they said they do not want pizza boxes.
Okay.
And
No
keep
matter,
it.
no matter how they are, but I will confirm now that they're putting the new plant up.
And let me tell you, the best thing to do, no matter what, is if you have a pizza box and the bottom is super greasy for now, put it in the garbage. Tear the top off if it's clean and recycle it. Or if you're really into it, you can cut out all the greasy spots, but that takes a little more dedication. But if it's too greasy, err on the side of caution. When in doubt, put it in the garbage for now. Look, that pizza box is going to be consumed. It's going to make electricity. It's not the biggest threat in the universe to us in the recycling program. We want clean. The cleaner the recycling it is the better it is.
Excellent.
On my street, I think I'm on the north side, so cardboard pickup is tomorrow. Does it matter, say we have a pouring rain, should we not put it out? Does it matter if it gets soaking wet?
Go ahead, Wayne.
You know, they really don't want it wet. And ultimately, what we are slowly starting to see, and we don't have it everywhere, but you are starting to see more communities require that all recycling be put in those big wheeled carts that you have seen on the road before. If you go down the shore at all, you'll see wheeled cart for collection. Ultimately, that's what you're going to see. The short answer is you'd be really dedicated to not put it out on that collection and wait for a dry day. It is better, but I'm not going to tell you not to put it out because on a scale, proportional scale, you know, it's a small amount. The short answer is they don't want it. In the future, I suspect Verona, like everybody else, someday will be going to a cart system for recycling, but you're not there yet, so we'll leave that alone.
Light bulbs all go in the trash?
Light bulbs go in the trash. I can't think of too many people that use incandescent lights today. Not the compact fluorescents.
Except for fluorescents, yeah.
Right,
Okay.
not the compact fluorescents. Those come to us, or Home Depot, or Lowe's.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all I have. That's
And
all
we
I
will
have.
take fluorescent tubes as well, as long as they're not broken.
What about LED?
LEDs currently can go into the regular trash.
So
Okay.
LED
That may change, but for right now, that's where it goes.
Does anybody else from the public have any other questions? Any
Throw 'em in-
items that have
Throw it
confounded?
in the chat.
The only other question, I guess, as was sort of asked, is how can 10 people make us more efficient and effective and lower the cost of our contamination rates, and keep those costs down when, we talk about this all the time. You walk down the avenue and everything ends up it might be a recycling container, but people don't look and they just throw their trash in there. So it all ends up getting mixed. I mean, Lenny's kind of smiling because he knows. He sees it every day.
We tried it at the pool and it just does not
We're on
work.
a pool, right? You go and there's, a parent with 4 wet children with French fries and bottles of water, and there's no way they're going to go all the way over there to recycle and then come back over here to throw the dirty napkins and the French fries out. It's just
you raise public container recycling is one of the biggest challenges out there. And Princeton, for example, and you would think Princeton, pretty progressive community, they've removed all the recycling bins from their streets. They've just put in solid waste bins. There's no law that says, by the way, that you have to have recycling bins in with your litter containers. We've always encouraged it, but Princeton has removed them because they were throwing everything away anyway. And I can't blame them for that. Parks, public areas, yes, they're throwing it in the same truck because it's contaminated. And there's a point at which, and I've done many audits in parks and public spaces. We emptied one truck on a Monday morning that had been picked up over the weekend. And I can only describe it in August. Think of a container that contains 70% dog poop and 30% cans and bottles. Think what it would have smelled like in August on a Monday after fermenting all weekend in a truck. And I can tell you that goes, in the garbage. That whole load went to the garbage. What am I going to do? I'm not going to have somebody sort that container. That would be insane. One of your comments, New Jersey state parks and forests took away all garbage and all litter containers. They took them all out. You pack it in, you have to pack it out. And they found the parks are actually cleaner because they enforce it. And if you do leave it and they catch you, they're going to give you a hefty fine. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to take away litter containers at all. That's not my suggestion. And I'm not telling you to take your recycling containers away. Part of it is a function of design. I've not really looked at Verona's containers. Part of it is a function of education. I think actually everyone on the Environmental Commission should be at every litter container every weekend to make sure people do it correctly, and the green team, and then you would be fine.
Environmental Commission.
I thought you would say that, Carrie. I wasn't sure why.
Yep. Okay. So I want to let people know on the call, if you don't know, Verona does use the Reminder app. It's Reminder with a Y, and that all it simply is, it's a pretty simple app, but it just reminds you. I got one tonight. Cardboard goes out tonight. It's very quick and easy. Also, in addition to Verona's website, the Environmental Commission website has a great recycling section as well, laid out as the do's and don'ts of recycling. And Jessica and Sarah give assemblies to all the elementary schools about recycling. So if you have kids, they're going to come home and tell you what to do with or without it, or with or without recycling. And you can also subscribe to the town newsletter, and to hear about things like the sports swap that is this weekend, or the townwide garage sale, or things like that. But Verona has a townwide newsletter that goes out, and you could hear about things like that. Or there's also a Facebook curb alert group, which is all free items. But that is a good place to swap or get rid of your items rather than them having go into the trash. So there are some things like that. I just recently found a website called gotsneakers.com, which will buy your sneakers from you. They send you a free bag and the shipping is free. $7 for excellent condition, and then it goes down to like $2 or $1. But that's, if you have a family of 4 and your kids are outgrowing their sneakers pretty soon, I thought that was a pretty good deal rather than putting those in the trash. So there are options.
Nice. We are in the midst of developing a long list of places to be able to get rid of things that you no longer want, but someone else might.
Right.
So we have a long list, and we're going to probably be posting it on our website soon. And it's very extensive. If you're trying to get rid of a boat, we actually have a place you can donate your boat.
There was a thing, I believe I saw it on Instagram on the Verona page, about places to get rid of bulk also. Instead of throwing it out, you can donate it to other organizations. I'll find it and I'll make sure they put it on the website too, by the recycling.
Yeah, please look at that. Reuse is always one of the highest things you can do, and Lenny is right on point. I mean, if we don't have to handle it one way or the other, we're better off.
Right.
We do get calls like that from time to time.
Yeah, PSE&G actually had a program last year where they were paying you to, they would take, I want to say it was refrigerators and dehumidifiers. I'm not sure if it was air conditioners and dehumidifiers. It's not active. I checked before this webinar and I checked, and it's not active right now, but they were giving people money to come and pick up their stuff. So that's better to keep it out of Verona's bulky pickup, things like that. But I just want to thank you, Wayne and Lenny, for presenting and talking this all through with us. Very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. And if you have any other questions, go call Lenny.
Well, thank you everyone for joining.
Yes, thank you. And once again, this will be available on Verona and the Verona Environmental Commission's YouTube page. And we'll probably embed this on our the Verona Environmental Commission's website as well. So send your friends to go watch it and get their questions answered. And again, thanks to everyone. And thank you, Carrie, for basically organizing this. So it was great.
Yeah, it's great.
All right.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.